guest became a huge star as a teenager in the group New Kids on the Block. Yeah. Oh, we still have some NKOTB fans, I see. Now he's starring in the new Stephen King movie Dreamcatcher and the NBC series Boomtown, which airs Sunday nights at 10. I TiVo it. You should too. Check it out.
This is why cops only hang around with other cops. Who the hell else could we talk to about the stuff that we see? Can't talk to my wife about it. Even if she was in good shape, she wouldn't understand. Not that I wanted to, because I don't even understand it myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Donnie Wahlberg. Johnny!
Is this for me?
That's all you, Mr. Wahlberg.
Nice.
Hey, Donnie, thank you for coming, man.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
The new show is great. Absolutely love the show.
Thank you.
Boomtown.
Thanks.
Absolutely great show.
You too, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
See, we work out at the same gym sometime, and
That's right.
that's right. I do look a little bit better, but that's something else.
It's
but
true.
You were in Joey's thing, right? You were in Joey's in a New Kids TV special
Yeah.
years and years ago.
You know, when I saw him at the gym, you know, because you see stars around Hollywood, and I have no shame. I'll come up and talk to you. I have no shame. And I just wanted to thank you for being nice to me. Back in, gosh, 90 or 91,
90, yeah.
New Kids on the Block did a Christmas special. I think it was a Christmas special,
It was
right?
like a TV Disneyland. We all like were pretending to be famous. Like
Right.
I was Indiana Jones, and Joey did like a musical thing.
And
Frank
Joey
Sinatra.
had a musical thing, and and I think Jordan's might have been at the beach, but I was a dancer, and so I was in bikini shorts with a saxophone dancing around as Jordan sang. That's on the resume. But I remember meeting you and meeting the rest of the guys, and you were so nice to even extras and to the dancers, to everyone on the set. So years later, it was cool to be able to thank you. You know, as opposed to if you'd been really mean to me, I'd be like, look at me now.
Right. But on the flip side of that, it was nice to see somebody. I mean, you were an extra almost in this thing,
Yeah.
and look at you now. I mean, it's really encouraging to see that, and it's nice because, you know, from the time I was a teenager, people have said, well, what do I do to make it? What do I do to make it? And it's hard to really have an answer for that, but you look at what you did. I mean, look how far you've come. It's nice to see it. It really is.
Man.
Really
Well, while
is.
we're talking about that, you know, it's nice to see what you guys did. You exploded on the scene with New Kids on the Block, and that was great. And you know what? Laugh if you will, I had every record, and I was jumping around going, oh. Loved it. But you had a road before that. You know, your beginnings were so humble,
Right.
and you had it rough. You know, you were driving around in the back of a refrigerator truck.
Yeah. Well, we grew up with 9 kids, and how my parents did it, I don't know. I have 2, and I'm like suicidal half the time. But we didn't have a car when we were little. My dad delivered lunches to public schools in the wintertime and to summer camps in the summertime, and we had a truck that he used. It was a refrigerated truck. I mean, you see them all around. It's like a little tiny cab with 2 seats in the front, but then this big, huge refrigerated box, like, you know, like, I mean, it was like the size of a FedEx truck. And so when we wanted to go to the beach or all go out together, the 9 of us, you know, it would be my dad driving, my mother in the passenger seat, somebody sitting on the spare tire in the cab, and then 8 of us in the back of the truck.
Just chilling.
But it's exactly.
So to speak.
It's refrigerated, so we had to leave the door open, you know, so we didn't die. We could suffocate in there. And, you know, I mean, it was just, and we're bouncing around, and there's no chairs. There's like milk crates and boxes and
Did you ever
a
get
two-wheeler.
stuck to the metal? Just go,
No. We used to just, you know, wait for red lights. It would be like, thank God. You know, mostly as a kid, you want to get somewhere quick. We'd be like, please stop. Give us a break, you know, because we're bouncing around like pieces of popcorn or something in the back of the truck. It was pretty fun. And, you know, it's humble beginnings, but, you know, it makes you who you are when you grow up.
really
you know?
shapes character.
Yeah, and it's funny because my dad, he wasn't big on giving advice when we were little, but he said to me, I really remember this, when I told him I was going to join a singing group. For all he knew, it could have been like a little backyard singing group. He didn't know, but he said, well, if you make it, if you ever change, when you come home, I'm going to kick your ass. So I said, all right, then I won't change. And
Those are loving words to live by.
They are, in a weird way.
In a weird way. In a very weird way.
I got the message. So
yeah,
I got the message.
Quick too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dad, I love you. Bye.
Yeah.
You so was the rest of the family once the new kid thing took off? Were they jealous, or was it weird because you had all the other brothers,
Right.
and were they looking at you, the other 8 siblings, just mad?
There was no jealousy. Amazingly enough, when we were little, like if somebody got a toy that somebody else wanted, there'd be fights. I mean, knockdown, drag-out fights. But when this happened, the success with the new kids, for me, it was nothing but love in the family. I mean, it was really amazing. And I really would have expected it from Mark because he had a chance to be in the group, and he didn't want to do it. He wanted to hang out with his friends and play basketball and stuff like that.
I think he's done okay.
He has, but but at the time, you know, we took off. He had just said, no, I don't really want to do that. And the band took off, and I would have expected for him to at least have regrets. Like, man, I should have done that. But he never did. I mean, he was so supportive. I mean, he'd get in fights. If somebody said the new kids stink or something, he'd walk up and punch somebody in the face. He was really supportive in other ways than being violent. But you know, and I made sure to spoil my family back, especially Mark. You know, the first car I ever bought was for him. I didn't even have a car myself. I mean, you know, making a lot of money and stuff, and I bought him a Grand Cherokee, and I would go to jewelry stores and see things and be like, I don't like this stuff, but Mark will like it. I'll get it for him. And you know, so it was nice. It was great. I think God's plan for me was to help pay back my family, especially my parents, for surviving all those years with 9 kids and doing such a wonderful job and raising us with really no money, and it was really rough growing up.
Well, you've come a long way since then, and we're actually going to talk about 2 of the projects, Dad, you're working on right now. We have more with Donnie Wahlberg as soon as we get back. Hey everybody, I'm sitting here with Mr. Donnie Wahlberg. So we discussed your past, and moving now closer. I loved you in Sixth Sense. Was that really? That was hot, right? Now, wasn't that the real defining moment, I think, of you as an actor that kind of clicked everything for you and you started really getting the good roles?
It was. You know, I think most importantly what it did is it showed other actors that I was an actor, not just some singer who was trying to be an actor.
Right.
You know, I never really understood why actors would be so protective of their territory when I first started acting, but having been through so many auditions and so many, you know, failed auditions, and such a struggle to make it as an actor, I've really grown to respect where actors are coming from. And this is, you know, for a singer who's really famous to just jump into a movie, it takes food off another actor's plate, you know, if they've been working for all these years trying to make it. So to break through and have actors finally respect me as an actor and not just as a singer really meant the world to me. But it's funny because when you saw me at the gym and you were like, you were great in that movie, and I've heard that a million times. Like, people say, I didn't even know it was you. I saw the movie twice. I couldn't believe it.
You were transformed, man.
Right.
I thought you looked like the Gollum from the Lord of the Rings. That was a trip.
Well, it's funny. I heard so many people say, like, when you came on screen, the theater went silent. So on opening night of The Sixth Sense, I went to see the movie just to see what it was like. I want to feel that audience response because I really didn't know how I did in the movie. And I picked the worst theater in America to go to. I went into the second last row, and there was like 6 teenagers sitting in the back. And
already bad. It's already
They were heckling all the promos for all the upcoming movies and the trailers and stuff, and I was like, oh man, they're right behind me. I was like, well, if I can impress these kids, then it really must have been a good performance. Well, the minute my character is revealed, like, all I'd heard is the audience always goes, right? These guys started laughing hysterically. And I was like, oh my God. And this opening night of the movie, you know, and I was like, oh man, and they're just heckling and laughing the whole time. And they're like, and everything I would say where like most people would go, oh, that's great. And they were like, what a jackass. I mean, they were going crazy. They thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. And so when I left the theater, I was like, oh man, people all over the country must have been hearing that same type of response. So what that did for me, I think, was saved me, because I've heard such great things about the performance that had I not had that humbling experience of viewing the film with those 6 teenagers, I might have really started to think that, yeah, I am pretty good, you know. But every time I saw somebody, including you, I saw you at the gym and you're like, it was great, man. I always would be like, yeah, okay, thanks, you know, because I wasn't sure.
So you thought that in my house it was like, Donnie Wahlberg.
I really didn't know. You know,
Man.
those kids, I never forgot them. I still don't. I mean, if somebody says you're great in that movie, I'm always like, okay.
Well, I'm glad that you said that. We have those 6 kids here right No. But wouldn't that be great if all of a sudden I found all those 6 kids? We have them right here.
Right.
Now, Boomtown. Love the show, man. Love the show. It's so unique. If you haven't seen Boomtown, Boomtown tells the same story. Well, why am I saying it? Why don't you tell them what it is?
Boomtown tells the story of one crime each week from many different points of view. The detectives, LA, it's set in LA. It's 2 detectives, 2 police officers, a deputy DA, a reporter, and a paramedic. And whenever these people happen to cross paths on the same case, you know, that's when the story's told. And it's really a fun show. I mean, it's great. And people have been worried that it's not on the air anymore. It is on the air.
Because it's been moved around.
Well, it only was interrupted for the Kingpin miniseries, which nobody ever really said it was a miniseries, but it was. So it came back on the air March 2nd, and it's just great. I mean, we're really happy. The fans have been phenomenal and supportive of it, and we're really proud of it.
Great cast. So just to reiterate, the show is coming back on. All the fans, because I know that people can drop away and forget you as soon as, you know, 6 weeks go by and they haven't seen you.
Well, I think the television networks, they think everybody, like, works for the television networks, because it's, you know, I'll call home to my mother and she's like, what happened to your show? Where's Joel and Fearless? You know, what's going on? And I'll be like, it's coming back. And, you know, the network, I think sometimes they assume that everybody, like, goes on the internet and reads, you know, the NBC.com or whatever networks, you know, they are. And the show is on the air. It just was interrupted for a few weeks, but it's definitely here, and it'll be here for a while.
And what's going on with Dreamcatcher?
Dreamcatcher is it's a pretty crazy film. It'll be out in a couple of weeks, March 21st.
Based on a Stephen King book.
Based on a Stephen King book. Yeah, the book was quite a trip. But Lawrence Kasdan, who is one of the great writers, screenwriters, and directors, he wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark and Return of the Jedi and The Empire Strikes Back and The Bodyguard, but he also directed and wrote Body Heat and Silverado and Grand Canyon and The Big Chill.
Is that it?
Yeah. No, it's not. There's more, but I can't remember them all. He wrote and directed it based on the Stephen King book, and it stars Morgan Freeman and Tom Sizemore and Damian Lewis, who I worked with in Band of Brothers. It's sort of a movie in the tradition of, like, some of the older horror movies. It's funny, scary, you know, like maybe a Jaws, those kind of movies. Like it's
almost like
big
The Thing,
and
too.
crazy. Yeah, a little bit like The Thing. But all that said, it's unlike anything you've ever seen. I mean, this movie is really, I mean, Lawrence Kasdan writes beautiful character pieces, and that's what this movie is for about 45 minutes, and then all hell breaks loose. And, like, the Earth is suddenly in danger, and it's like these 4 friends who you fall in love with are suddenly, like, trying to save the world. And it's really unusual, but I have to say, it's a fun ride. I mean, everybody should really check it out, because it is really a really unique and exciting movie.
Well, I can't wait to see it, man. I can't wait to see you work. Thank you so much for coming again.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Mr. Donnie Wahlberg, folks. We'll be right back with Judge Joe, with Larry Joe Doherty.